Obby Creator is a game where you can make obbies in Roblox. Kinda. You can also make tons of other stuff. But not everyone knows how to use it. And even though it's a pretty simple game, just in case, I'm going to tell you how to use it in a simplified version. Obby Creator for Dummies. Alright, so first thing you're going to do, when you first join the game, you're going to have to find an obby to go in. Now normally I should teleport you right towards an obby so you can go in. Then just load any obby. You should have a few slots. And you don't have to start like this, but I'm just going to give you a tutorial on how to use some of the stuff. So yeah, the load obby is just used for loading in your obbies, and you can also check out other obbies down here. But we're not going to talk about that. Go in the edit mode into the corner, and you'll have all these fancy buttons. This blue one will allow you to exit the edit mode and go in what I call play mode. And then this add button allows you to place a bunch of parts. Now this may look pretty overwhelming at first, but it's really not. But first, if you click these buttons down here, you'll have the settings button, which is quite complicated and kind of specific, so we're not going to talk about it right now. But one thing I will say is there should be something called simple properties. Make sure to turn this off. This will allow you to do more specific things, which I'm going to talk about. We also have the delete item, whatever you want to call it. Basically, if you make something very simple, you can just delete it. Very useful. There's also the clone thing, and you can just clone stuff. Simple. And then there's the teleport, so you can teleport around. And then in building mode, you can do stuff like fly around, which is cool. And all this other stuff I don't use. I don't actually use building mode, so yeah. Alright, next let's talk about how you actually change a block. So if you want to resize it, you should see it down here. Now resize is very similar to Roblox Studio, just pull and then you can change the size of it. This will cost money, but once you play the game for long enough, money really doesn't matter. Next, if you want to move it, you just press the same button and you should see all these arrows. This will allow you to move it around. And lastly, there's rotate, where you can just rotate it around in a bunch of directions. Alright, next we have this thing called the properties, and this is really useful. This is where you can do things like change its color, make it so you can't collide with it, make it so it doesn't cast a shadow, change its surface, or change its material. You can also change how reflective it is. That didn't really look reflective. Or how transparent it is. You can also check its data, which I don't really care about. Like changing its shape. Also there's effects, which are very useful. I won't go into all the effects, but they're all pretty simple to use. The one that you're probably going to be using the most is text or image. So I'll talk about both of them. For text, you put it in the right direction. Let's just rotate it the right way. And then you can type something in. You can also change the color of the text. And you can give it an outline color by setting this to 0. And then we can make it something like yellow. And then also you can change the font of it to basically anything. Oh, that looks kind of weird. And then you can change the face of this. And then there is image, which is another really useful one. We're gonna go onto this side, the right. Now you can find images on Roblox Creator Hub, but you can probably find tutorials for that. Basically, you can find any image. So for example, I'm gonna search up face. And then you can search that until you find the right one, and then you're just gonna copy the thing that you see on here. You can't copy and paste it since it's Roblox, but if you just type it in, which might take a little bit. Oh no, wait, no. And then boom, you have the face. You might get this white background, which is okay because you just need to set the back transparency to 1. Okay, I don't think it works with this face, but normally it does work. Yeah, no. And then you can also change the color of it, but for some reason this one has a background, so it won't work. Okay, this part's kind of looking like a lot, so let's get a new one. Actually, you don't really need to use any more of these. Light is kind of useful in case you need something dark, or you have something dark. But let's next talk about all of these. These aren't that useful. I mean, they are useful, but I would recommend staying away from using pre-mades. Maybe use them at the start, but once you actually get better at using it, probably stop using them because they come off as kind of lazy. You should use your own pre-mades. To make a pre-made, we're just going to get these two things you made because you have to have at least 2 parts to make a pre-made. Then scroll far enough away, and then you should make a window if you click, and then they should both come together, and then you can go on to pre-mades, and there should be a little plus here. I have the max amount though, and then you can just save it. Okay, so let's go through all of the advanced parts. Now, advanced tool part and music part and music zone are all exclusive to the advanced mode, but I'll still talk about them, kinda. With this also goes in the property tab. You can change stuff like how far you walk, the skybox, the ground. It's really nice. And then you can also change it with this block. Music, it's basically the same as the images thing, but I don't think you can search up music, so you're gonna have to look at CreateHub for that. Or you can find tons of pre-mades for it, like tons of people have made their own music sheets, fit stuff, so you can just use that instead. And then music zone is the same thing, but instead of whenever you touch it, it has music. Whenever you're in the zone, it has music. So yeah, pretty simple. And then we have the button and the button deactivator. I don't actually use the button deactivator that much, but it's still useful. So in my opinion, I'd say aside from lava, the button is probably the thing you're going to use the most. So let's say you have this wall right here, right? But you want this wall to go away if you press this button. So if we go down to behavior, we'll have a bunch of stuff. It may look a bit overwhelming, but trust me, it's fine. We'll set the timer to 10, and then you can say if you want the count on to appear on your screen or not. And then we're going to set it to parts invisible. And then keep activate for others disabled unless you want to make it like a 2-player thing. That's actually a good idea. Activation type we'll just keep at all. And then you just have to press the edit button and then click on the object. Now, when you press the button, it disappears for a certain amount of time. And then I actually don't use the button deactivator, but I assume it just deactivates what the button does. Hold on, let me test. Yeah, that's what it does. So yeah, they're both really useful. You can also use buttons for other stuff, like the opposite where you need something to appear. But also, a whole other section is moving parts, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about. But yeah, with moving parts, if you set them to button activated and then make it so it actually activates parts and then edit it, then it'll make the normal parts move. Pretty cool, right? Anyway, I'm going to make this black because right now it's kind of hard to see. So let's just do that. And you can change where it moves. It has to have 2 spots. You can also change, like with every other part, change its like surface. The main stuff is you can change like you want it to be continuous, or if you want to make it touch activated, so when you touch it, it starts moving. Useful for like elevators if you want to make that. You can change the easing style of it, the easing direction, and you can change if you want to make it offset, reverse, how quickly you want it to move, the lower the number, the faster it'll move, and if you want it to stick. There's also a whole other section of moving parts, like push blocks, which we can actually use on this wall we made earlier. So if we push it here, now we can jump on top. Hooray! There's not much to say about these really. They don't even have an effects area. You can also have lava push blocks, push balls. They all basically are the same. There's also spin parts and conveyor belts. I don't have a lot. Oh wait, no wait, not conveyor belt. Yeah, spinning parts. Need I say less? They spin. You can change their access and how fast they move. Nobody cares about that. Actually, people do. So that's basically it for the move parts. Let's go back to the advanced parts or checkpoints. So this one's really simple, but if I touch the checkpoint and then I die, then I will have the checkpoint. Then we can get lava, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. It's just the kill brick. So now if I die, I get sent back to the section. And if you're making an obby, this is really useful. Next, we have the conveyor belts, which is another self-explanatory one. It's just a conveyor belt. You can change the speed and all the stuff like this. Next, we have the fading part and the falling part. I'm grouping these together because they're very similar. When you touch the fading part, it fades away, and when you touch the falling part, it falls. You can change how quickly they fall and fade, and how long they're gone for. Next, we have the gear part, which gives you a gear. So we're gonna make it a taco, and now when you touch it, you get a taco. Nice. The next thing we have is the gear remover, which is similar to the button deactivator. It just gets rid of a gear. So we can touch the taco again. Now we have the taco, and now we don't. Next up, we have the global properties part. This is the same thing as the other one, just it's a global now. So yeah, you can change things like how much you jump. So, oh wait, I didn't change anything, right? We can just make it like 2. And now we can't even jump really. But I want to jump, so I'm going to set it back to 100. And now we can jump again. Next we have the heal part, which heals you. You can also make it so the lava part doesn't deal max damage. So we can make this deal 50, and then make this, that damage is 50 and this heals 50. So we get hurt, but then when we go to the heal pad, it heals us up. Pretty nice. Next is the jump pad, which is another self-explanatory one. It makes you jump. And then you can also set it to like a really high amount. So you jump really high. Great for trampolines. Next, we already talked about the lava parts. Next, the load part. You're probably not going to use this one a lot. It just allows you to load other obbies, so you can put the obby ID right here. And you can, I'm pretty sure you can look at the obby ID on this thing. ID. I actually don't remember. I don't really use it a lot. And then pressure plate. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I actually don't really know what this one does. So, I mean, if I don't use the pressure plate, you're also probably not gonna use it. Okay, the quiz part is quite a recent one, and this is great for like those quiz obby things. So let's just get an image real quick, and then we'll get SpongeBob. This is an example once again. Okay, let's get SpongeBob. I think this is a good image. Let's just copy the ID real quick. Okay, now we have SpongeBob. Let's also get rid of the transparency. Never mind, we can't on this one. Okay, cool. So this is clearly SpongeBob, right? Now, if we go to the behavior, then we can type in what you want it to make you say. So we're gonna put SpongeBob. Okay, cool. So now, when we say SpongeBob, it will disappear and we can go through. So that's pretty useful. Next is the reset part, which resets the entire obby. But if you touch a checkpoint, then there's the respawn part, which respawns you. So it's kind of like the lava part. So next is the seat, which makes you sit down. The speed pad, which changes your speed, so you can even make you faster. or slower, like this. I'm pretty sure the normal walk speed is 16. Yeah. Next is the teleport pad, which is another really useful one. We can set it to a location like, how about on top of this wall? And now when we touch it, we're on top of the wall. Sorry if I'm going through this a bit fast, they're just very self-explanatory. Next is the timed part and time lava. At certain points, they disappear. And you can change how much damage they do and how long they're visible and hidden for. And also their offset. And lastly, for the advanced part is the trip part, which makes you trip. Are there even behaviors for this? Nope. Okay, we're finally done with the advanced parts. The basic parts are really simple. They always do the same thing, so they're just good for modeling. The only one that acts differently, I think. Wait, let me check. Yeah, the only one that acts differently is the truss, which, you know, is a ladder. So yeah, really quick. But yeah, they're just good for modeling, like if we want to put a star here. You can also rotate with with R and T on your keyboard, so that's nice. Sometimes it doesn't work though, so you have to use the rotate thing. And boom. That's a really ugly shade of yellow. Whatever. Next is moving parts, which we already talked about. Cart rides, which are actually quite nice. I don't really make cart rides, so I'm not going to talk about it that much. But yeah, you can make some pretty cool stuff, and then you put it on, and then we can drive the minecart. Yay! Okay, next up we have the special category, which has mannequins and character models. Now these may look similar, but they're actually quite different. So we're going to start with the player model. Now let's go to my front here. You can see my Obby ID. So we're just going to put in the ID. And now, if we look over, it's me! And you should be able to do this with any player if you just look at their ID. And then for the mannequin, you can put clothes on and then people can actually buy it in the game, which I think is pretty cool. And then there's pre-mades, which I already talked about. If you don't want to make a tree, you can just put it here. I'm not going to judge you for using these, because I think these are really good when you start. And yeah, they can either be decorations, or obby parts, or ovens. Those are also decorations. And then lastly is my pre-mades, which you already talked about. Now that's definitely not everything Obby Creator has, but yeah, this is actually my favorite game on Roblox right now. I've been playing it for like over 3 years, and it just lets me get really creative. And if you decide to play it, you can also get really creative. So I highly encourage you play this game and make your own obbies. Let me know if this helped you, and if it did, maybe leave a like, I'm not forcing you, or maybe subscribe, I don't know. And also, if you have any further questions, make sure to leave it down in the comment, and I will answer it no matter what. Okay, bye!